Hey everybody, this is part 3 of my series on my Mame trees. And Mame, literally translated from Japanese, means little bean. And they're defined as small trees that are about between 2 to 4 inches. Sometimes you'll see different classifications of what a Mame is, but they're small trees. And so this is part 3. And I will leave a link to part 1 right there. And then once that one goes away, we'll do part 2 right there. And I'm doing 6 trees each, because that seems like a fairly good amount of time to spend. So this is the first tree of this collection. This is another Premna. And it's had trouble establishing in the pot too, so that's why I have the rock. And it's leaning way too far forward if this is the front, and I want this to be the front. And it's a pretty nice tree. It has the kind of movement and taper and etc. that I like in my bonsai. But like most of the rest of the other Premna and other trees, just in general, needs a trimming. A lot of these trees, even my larger Premna, had been, I don't want to say sitting dormant, but they hadn't been doing much in the dryness. And you can water out of a hose till you're blue in the face, but it's just not the same as rain. So, if I'm not mistaken, we've had 6 days of rain, sometimes heavy rain, in the last 7 days. And I'm not complaining, because we had the entire month of April and the first 3 weeks of May with almost zero. So, but that rain is magical, because it also has some components in it. It's not just water. I believe it actually has some nitrate. So a lot of my trees have just like gone, and they just sprouted with new growth everywhere. And a lot of these Mames are no exception. And this guy is in the classic Allen style that I like. First main branch, second main branch, come up to the apex, informal upright. And it needs some more development. This is one that's not as developed as some of the rest, but I think, now see, like this branch here that's shooting straight up, it can come off completely, because I really want this little tiny stuff in here to come out and fill in. And then we have this one yellow branch that I don't understand. But, so there we go. Not much work to be done on this guy. Like I said, he struggled to establish in the pot. You can see some of the roots here are kind of weird. So he struggled to establish in the pot. But it's still alive, still healthy. And I think over time it will become a pretty nice little tree. I've got a couple in here that are kind of just plain weird. So let's do this guy. He's just weird. And, well, you know, is this even a bonsai? It's in a really cool pot. But this is a desert rose. And I've let it just go crazy. Really has, you know, look at how it's just like, desert rose, I think, can just sit in midair and still survive. But it hasn't been trimmed in a long time. And so, and it probably needs a bigger pot, because now the bulb that stores the water, because desert rose are a major succulent, it probably needs a bigger pot. So this may go into a bigger pot, but right now I'm just going to cut it. And I'm going to really cut it. And I may actually take this guy and wire him down to make it sort of look like it might be a bonsai. So I'm using all my old wire from the 2 windswept trees that I just unwired. So this is going to be interesting to try to get this guy around the trunk, since the trunk is so massive. And part of the reason that desert roses are really not considered classic bonsai is because they never get any wood. They're succulent and they're just full of juice. And they never create wood in the botanical sense. Another one that's a super popular bonsai, and I'm going to show you some of them shortly. See, he just needs some help. You know, put a rock under here. I don't think I have a rock that small. So we'll give him a chop. There you go. He has a future, but that's about it. Okay, so now I have 3 Portugalcaria jade. And they're all struggling. And the reason they are is because they're profoundly root bound. Poor little guys. But look at the trunk on this baby. And I've never really quite figured out whether I wanted this guy to be a slanting trunk tree. I've often thought very seriously of taking all of this off and turning it into an informal upright. In which case this branch here is way too heavy. So this tree has some... it's like, okay, well... If there was a law against plant abuse, this guy would put me in jail. But it's still alive, which is a testament to the unbelievable resiliency of Portugalcaria. So what do I do with it? I'm not sure. I'm really not. You know, in this branch here, I don't think it's dead. Portugalcaria can do that because I'm going to show you the next one, which is doing this, which is really infuriating me because I'm just really mad. It's like, why are you doing that? But so this branch is perfectly alive, but it hasn't popped. And, you know, if it's going to be a slanting style tree, I have to have something here moving into this space. So, but it's just so root bound. I mean, I don't even want to show you. So sometimes I get trees like this where they're there and I water them and I'm looking and I just, okay, you know, just keep it alive, and at some point it'll strike me. Today is not that day. The next one here has just infuriated me tremendously. And not that it isn't a nice tree. It's just that I want first main branch, second main branch, and apex. And this whole group right here, this whole branch coming from here, just will not sprout. It's sprouted all over the place. And I don't know if you noticed, but I have been pinching this thing. Pinching. Trying to force energy up into this top part. And it just will not sprout. You can notice a little tiny sprout right there. And then we have this lower growth, which I don't think I even need at all. Although I do remember when I did this tree in another video, someone commented that I should have saved this as the first main branch. So who knows, maybe that's... But it's just... And like the slanting trunk that I just showed you, it's doing the same thing. The branches are perfectly healthy. They have not shriveled and died. And yet, they won't sprout. So at this point, you know, I love the tree. I love the motion. I love the trunk and the taper. And, you know, if we do get rid of this guy, the branching, and just it's just going to be a cool little tree. But, God, I got to get these 2 guys here to sprout. So it's just really a matter of... And I don't want to totally denude this tree, and I don't know why. Maybe I should. Maybe I just should take all of this stuff here and just chop it to just stumps. And perhaps that will force something to come up into here. But anybody else have that trouble where jades just do not want to sprout in certain spots, even though the branches are still perfectly healthy? It's got me. I'm mad. Here's another one. This, I can't really be mad. If I'm going to be mad at this tree, it's because of me. I'm going to be mad at me. Actually, let me bring back the slanting trunk. These two guys are virtually the exact same age. And as you can see, they're in the exact same state of, I don't want to say neglect, because, I mean, they're alive. They're doing okay, but they're just definitely not. Come on. And the biggest problem is they're just profoundly root bound. So this is another one. This is kind of like, what is this? Multi-trunk? Clump style? Slanting? Yeah, it's like, is there a different front in here somewhere? Don't know. Here's another one where the branch is still perfectly healthy, but it won't sprout. Then we have this weird little sprout down here, which we obviously don't need. So that's that's really the only thing I'm going to do with this guy, is just cut this sprout away here. So here's another one where, okay, it's here. I have it. It's in my collection. It's alive. The decision of where to go with it, you know, it could be, maybe it could be like here. All right, like do it like that. Have some kind of tree in there. Got nice moss. But for now, there he is. And then the last one of this group, because believe it or not, there's going to be a part 4. This is the dwarf black olive. And boy, this guy struggled through the winter. Oh, did he struggle through the winter. And there's good reason, because dwarf black olives are incredibly tropical. So even 50 degrees and they're like, nope, I'm not happy. So it has now finally begun to sprout a little bit. And I have some wire on it, and I have no clue why. Don't know. I mean, is that the front like that? I have no clue. I don't know. And it's a typical dwarf black olive, very, very, very thin trunk. They just do not produce thick trunks unless after many decades. But I'm happy that at least it sprouted back. And it has some dead. There's a piece right there that's dead. There's a piece right there that's dead. And there's a couple other chunkers that are dead. So I'm thinking that the front is in here somewhere. So first main branch, second main branch, apex. This is going to be a very feminine tree. And I would cut more of it back, like this stuff in the back here. But I'm not going to, because it just needs to recover. The tree needs to get some strength. And one of the worst things that you can do, and there I am, off to the right again. One of the worst things you can do with a tree that's weak is to start chopping at it. You need to leave it alone and let it just recover. Or I need to leave it alone. Because I tried never. None of my videos are an attempt to educate you. They're just an attempt to give you examples of how I do things. And then if you say, hey, you know, I kind of like that, maybe I'll try that too, then that's fantastic. But I try to never say, you do this and you do that and you do this and you and you and you, because I don't know what you want. Everybody does bonsai completely differently. So, I'm just happy this guy is alive. And you may have some trees like that too, right? Some really beautiful trees that you absolutely love, and then there's some in the I'm just happy it's alive category. And this is one of those. Hello, Mr. Garbage Man. And I think there's other two Jades too are in the I'm just happy it's alive category. These guys here. Maybe that's why I waited till part 3 or 4 or whatever part this is to show you these guys. Anyway, there are other parts, and I will leave those at the very end of this video for you to go watch, because I have a lot of Mame trees. I think what's happened with me is the older I've got, the smaller my trees have become. Partially because I'm physically getting unable to lift, or even bend over, or get down on my knees and do some work, and then trying to get back up. It's like, oh my God, it's like it's bad. So small trees make it a whole lot easier to do those things. So I don't know. Probably shouldn't even go there. But if you have not subscribed yet and you want to continue to watch these guys, because I'm going to have some decision making on these two at some point. I mean, you have to at some point. You just can't. I don't like letting trees just sort of languish. Although I'm guilty of it. There's no question about that. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And once again, I will put end screens, like one right there and one right there, for parts 1 and 2. And I think this is part 3. Wow, I am so scatterbrained. Can't even count. Anyway, we do have one more part to go. So I will see you in that video if you're interested.